Hey there, everybody. This is Damon Sugamelli. I am back. I was not feeling good last week. Mike took over, and now Mike apparently is sick and he's not feeling well, so he's not joining us this week. But I am back with my other co-hosts, Brian Greene from the Owl's Place Quantum Leap fan site, MJ Cogburn from the virtual seasons, also on Owl's Place website. And joining us, I'm excited to welcome from the Fringe Podcast Rewatch, and I think you have a few other podcasts on Golden Spiral Media. This is Darrell Darnell. Welcome, Darrell.
Hello. Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been listening to the Fringe Podcast Rewatch, and I enjoy what you guys are doing. So tell us a little bit about what's going on your, Golden Spiral Media and all that.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Fringe Podcast Rewatch. That's Fringe is what got it all started for me. So Fringe was a J.J. Abrams show that started in 2008 and ran until 2013, and that was my first ever podcast. And I kind of got addicted to them. So then we started a podcast network about sci-fi geeky things for the most part, and we've kind of had different shows running through there through the years. We started rewatching Fringe, as you know, last year. So that's the Fringe Podcast Rewatch. It's for those who have already seen the show. For those who haven't, the Fringe Podcast is still out there and living in its original state. And then currently we're also doing Doctor Who is about to come back. So we've got Don't Blink is our podcast for that. If you're a Whovian. We've got a Disney podcast called Mouse House Weekly. We have a Twilight Zone podcast called Entering the Fifth Dimension. And one of these days, when they decide to bring the show back, we have a Stranger Things podcast called The Stranger Things Podcast. So that's what we've got going on.
You're not just a little bit busy. No, not at all.
Well, and I also run a podcast production business. So this podcasting is literally my life.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's great.
Yeah. MJ does some audio work too. Well, we can, what is it? Dark. We've never really
Darker projects.
Brought that up too much. Yeah. But she does like audio dramas and some Quantum Leap audios and stuff, and original stuff. And speaking of Quantum Leap, we of course are talking about the new Quantum Leap Season 2, Episode 3, Closure Encounters. And I guess I get why that title. I know you did the little thing last week, Brian, the closure. Ben wants some closure, and I'm guessing that's what that means. Original air date October 18th, 2023. Now a government agent, Ben investigates unexplained extraterrestrial activity. After a mysterious incident in New Mexico, 2 young girls' lives are on the line. Ben meets Hannah Carson, who may be more than she appears. So we have our cast: Raymond Lee as Dr. Ben Song, Caitlin Bassett as Addison, Mason Alexander Park as Ian, and Rissa Lee as Jen, Eliza Taylor as Hannah, and Ernie Hudson as Magic. So, yeah, and they introduced Peter. So what was it, Brian? Peter Gadio, you said? Is that how you pronounce it?
Gadio. Mm-hmm.
We saw him last week. Yeah, and he was not listed in the credits, which is interesting. I know some shows do that nowadays, but I know I had some things that I was debating if I should, since I wasn't talking about it last week, I was debating if I should mention. I don't know. I guess I'll leave it because I didn't have much to say. You guys did a good job, and I feel like anything I say might be a little negative. Wasn't so crazy about the last one. I didn't like the way they introduced him, so we don't get anything this week. Anyway, our guest cast, Louis,
because he was an integral part in this.
Yeah, I know he was.
So
yeah, he was in DC or something, right? Yeah.
Right.
I think so. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, our guest cast, that's okay. Our guest cast, Louis, is that how you say it? Louis Hertham? I'm guessing. I don't know his name. As Sheriff Morgan, Allison Thornton as Carrie Baker, and William DeVry as General Austin Murray. It was written by Romy Loor and directed by Chris Grismer. The leap date is just 1949, no actual date again, right? As far as I know. Yeah. Starlight, New Mexico, or is that where they traveled to?
That's
were on
where
a
they
road
traveled
trip.
to.
Okay.
The leap-in was undisclosed, 300 miles away.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. And Ben has leaped into Agent Robert Cook. So, Darrell, since you are our guest, our first impressions of what you thought of this episode.
Oh man, I have to go first. Yeah, you and I talked a few weeks ago about which episode would you like for me to come on and be a part of, and you said, I think you like aliens. I know you covered the X-Files, so this closure encounter sounds like it might be right up your alley, and you chose wisely. I at least in so much as it is right up my alley. I don't know if having me on is a good move or not. We'll save that decision for the end, but. I do like alien stuff. It started out in the fog, in the woods, and so that's really, vibing X-Files for me. And so I'm immediately trying to find X-Files connections. And, anytime I see old farmhouses, I think of the X-Files episode Home. But there was no scarecrow, there was no cornfield, but we had gnomes and home, and there was 3 male gnomes and 1 female gnome, and I'm like, I don't know, is that tying into home? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking for too much. I probably am, and that's okay. But no, overall I liked the story that we get in this episode. The character dynamics that are happening between Ben and Addison. Some of that stuff I'm still undecided on how I feel about that. I mean, I have feelings, but I'm also willing to give them some leeway to tell me where they're going with the story with Ben and Addison. But the story itself, what we have with the, aliens, government cover-up, no surprise it was a government cover-up. I liked it. It was fun. It was predictable at times, like night vision goggles. I pegged that pretty early on. I think some of you guys did too.
I think we all did.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no surprise there, but I was still along for the ride and enjoying it. I liked the dynamic of the sheriff, and the way that he played off of Ben. I liked them two together. I could see them doing a spinoff or something that'd be fun. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay, Brian, how about you?
I feel exactly like Darrell. I thought it was fun. I did think it was predictable in a lot of ways. The goggles, government cover up, the spaceship being some kind of government vehicle, and all of that. But it was fun, and I did really like the sheriff. I love the character, and I would like to see him again in something. And even the granddaughter, the kind of interactions between those, I believed it, and even the character of Melanie, who we didn't see a whole lot, and her father, I kind of believed all of that was really happening. And I did like the darkness at the beginning, and trying to figure out what it was. And I liked the joke about the gnomes and stuff. That was kind of funny too. But overall, I thought it was a pretty smooth episode, although very predictable. And, of course, toward the end, we get a little taste of Hannah, who is apparently going to be a series regular this season. And I don't know if we want to go ahead and talk about it
more toward the end. Yeah.
Save that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, great episode for me.
Yeah. MJ, should I go, or do you? You sometimes have things to say.
I don't care. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I liked it a lot. I think this is the best one so far this season. I did like the premiere, even though we didn't see much of the project at all. But we brought it up in our review that it felt like a classic episode of Quantum Leap. And the last one, for me at least, was it felt kind of unbalanced. You guys had more positive things to say when you guys did it last week, but that was very predictable. like last week with the whole bank robbery thing and everything. Like we've been there, done that. This one, I did feel I like the whole what do you call it? Like the environment. It was like you said, it was like dark, like a little bit like the way it comes in, and just the whole look of the episode, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I enjoyed it. We'll go into more detail, with some of the story elements. What did you think, MJ?
As far as the story goes, I thought it was a really good story. I thought it was very predictable in everything that happened. The one thing that I think that made me kind of go, was Hannah. That was the only question that I had questions truly about. So, okay. Other than that, I mean, yeah. I have to say something, though. Where was Ziggy saying Sam has been in this situation before? He's seen aliens.
We're going into this.
Why didn't Ziggy back up in?
Right. Okay.
But
we have our obvious. Yeah, we have our parallels to Starlight, Starbright. Yeah, this is another situation where we're getting kind of like another leap that we've seen before. I know we've talked about Ziggy before. That like I don't think it's the same Ziggy. I mean, I don't know. So Darrell, that you said you told me that you weren't as familiar with the details of the original show, so you might not be as. Zero. Daddy is trying to do something. Oh. Yeah. Daddy is doing something. Good night. I know it doesn't get any easier.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Take two. So, Darrell, I know you said that you weren't, you didn't know as many details about the original show, right? So what I was saying was that you might not be as biased towards this show as some of us are.
Yeah, I mean,
he's saying I'm really biased, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
see what he's saying.
Yes. I watched a lot of Quantum Leap as a kid growing up, and I loved it. Have I seen every episode? Probably not. I've rewatched most of the first season. I think after we finished last season, we started, but we even didn't get that far. No reason why. It's not like we didn't like it or anything like that. Of course we like it, but no, I don't remember. So when I think of Quantum Leap, I think of the individual stories, like when he leaped into the baseball player and had that connection with his dad, or something like that. The stories of, like you just mentioned, aliens. I don't remember that episode. I didn't remember aliens coming up in the original series.
It's a lot
some
later.
of the details of what the rules for time travel were. I don't remember the specific rules. So I'm, for better or for worse, right? I don't know, but I'm not bothered by some of those things because I don't remember the rules, so I don't know that they're breaking them.
Right. Yeah. See, this is like MJ will bring up. Not to put you on the spot, MJ, but I know that you.
And then I'm over here saying they change the rules every season.
I see how you are. It's all right.
Yeah. It was in the last season when they started doing some Starlight Starbright was like a season 5 episode when they started really experimenting with what they could do. So, and they were like desperate for stuff. Yeah, that's what I will say is, the parallels are there with that episode, but they're two very different episodes, because that one really kind of, like the original show, it leaned into more of that, like there was supernatural stuff that happened, and like they throw something in at the end, like, oh wait, but maybe this is real. And we've seen with the new show that they're kind of leaning more into the science, I think, right? Like it does seem like, like the Halloween episode, they didn't do the demon thing. It was just like, no, this is there's a logical explanation for this. So they seem to be leaning into that with this one.
Trying to get in.
Oh, yeah, Janice. Might as well bring her up.
We got that answered in this episode, right?
Yes.
So that's nice.
Yes, they did bring her up. And what was she? She's now working for the NSA in Hawaii.
She's now working in the NSA in Hawaii.
Yeah. Pretty much confirmation that we're not going to see her anytime soon. And then you brought it up last week, Brian, about how that she's, there was that statement that Martin Garrow made about that. Oh, I'm going to quote because I kind of want to call out the BS. I kind of want to call it out how he's saying that.
What BS is that?
Yeah, that they're, we have so many characters to service in the show. We love her, but the idea of adding her into the fold is just going to eat away screen time from our other great established cast. By the way, we're adding 2 new people that are going to eat away screen time from our cast. It's just like, I don't know, because like a lot of people are complaining about it, and I wanted to bring that up. It's like, I think it's just that they don't want to use Janice. I don't know if they're...
Possibility. The Tom character, I think they're trying... I could be wrong. I think they're trying to get Ben and Addison apart because people didn't like that. They didn't like the romantic relationship between the hologram and the Leaper. In the first series, you had Al and Sam. Obviously they were romantically connected. So a lot of people didn't like that. So maybe they're trying to get away from that. The second character of Hannah, I don't think she's going to show up in the present in the way that some people think she's going to. I think she
would be 95.
I think that Ben caused a ripple in time, the butterfly effect, and with her when he gave her that professor's number to call, and then something's going to happen with that he has to fix along the way, and I think she's going to appear in different leaps. That's my prediction of what's going to happen.
We've kind of seen in the trailer that I think that she does.
Yeah.
They show her burning something, and yeah.
Could it be something along the lines of she meets Professor Lenegro?
I don't know. They're not really going into the old episodes
Remember
as
what
much.
I said? Tom Belisario is not involved in this. He's not involved. I don't think that they're not gonna throw that old... It's such an obscure reference from one episode.
A couple things in, but what do I know?
He's an obscure reference from one episode of the old show. I think like most people are going to be like, who the heck is that?
Well, on the other hand, Magic was in one episode and he wasn't even really in the episode. So they could, you know, but
he's a main character.
Yeah.
I mean, she has to show up young, right? Whatever they do, they're not going to recast different actors to portray the same character at different moments through time. So she's going to have either he's going to be leaping into her timeline, or maybe she becomes a leaper in a way of her own, like we saw Martinez last season. So I don't know.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. You guys remember Journeyman? Any of you watched Journeyman?
Yeah, I loved Journeyman.
Yeah, it was good.
Yes.
I'm wondering if this is a Journeyman
Not
situation
so much.
where
I don't know that one.
It was very similar to Quantum Leap. It only was like 13 episodes. He was jumping back and forth in time.
Got killed by a writer's strike, ironically.
Oh,
that's true. That's right.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember, but because that was like what, the late 90s or something? I don't know. That was early 2000s.
No. That was 2000.
That was 2000s.
Okay.
Let's see. It was like 2000. Gosh,
I don't know.
6 or something like that.
Whatever, and that was also on NBC, right?
8.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then he was he jumped back and forth in time, but he went back home. He kind of he didn't control where he went.
2007.
He went back, and then he met his ex. Right. It was like his ex-girlfriend or something. And then we found out that she was from
Good. Yep.
She was from the past, also jumping back and forth in time. So I'm like, are they doing this? That's what I'm wondering if they're doing.
I'd be on board with that show. I missed that show so much.
I did too. I loved it.
I did too. I got to talk to Moonblood Good one time, and I was
cool.
interviewing her because she was on Falling Skies, and I mentioned Journeyman, and she and I just nerded out about Journeyman for a few minutes. It was a great moment, but I loved that show. I wouldn't mind that at all if they did that.
Oh yeah, cool. So we should probably talk about the leap a bit. If you want to, I mean, MJ, if you want to, anything that stands out. Well, like we said, we started out with the gnomes or whatever, and then it was.
And then he said my favorite line of the whole show.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
As Ben's walking back to the car after he has seen these kids run away, he says, they said if you leave them milk and cookies, they'll leave your house alone.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anybody really caught it, but it was a great segue to him getting in the car and going. So, which brings me to how they brought in Addison. The little line coming down showing her sitting in the car.
Oh,
right. A new little effect of her coming into the scene.
Right.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Then the uncomfortable silence of them talking about the relationship.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Before I forget, as we brought up about the relationship thing, I'm hoping that I hope that this is not where they're going with Tom's character, and that there's going to be like this jealousy and this love triangle between like all three of them. I do not want to see this at all. So I kind of hope that I hope they stick with this and just say, you know what, Ben needs to move on. This is their new relationship. I'm on board with that. I just wanted to put that out there. That
Ben.
It's not his fault that he got, 3 years have passed, but I just don't want to see this love triangle thing. We've been there, done that too. So we have to wait and see how this is going. I did think that immediately when you said Project Sign, and Ian said this is Project Blue Book before there was a Project Blue Book, which was the original Quantum Leap episode was these officials from Project Blue Book. Mike said I'm looking at his notes here. He says we didn't learn it was 1949 until about halfway through the episode. So that is, I did realize that. I'm like, wait a minute. They said it in the trailer, 1949, but we don't find it out. We don't get a date. I can't stand that we don't get that specific date.
And then Ben says it again at the very end when he's talking to Hannah. So he's like, oh yeah, it's 1949. You need to talk to... Blah, blah, blah. So...
Yeah. Mike called the alien technology too. So he said night vision goggles weren't really used until World War II, and likely still unheard of in 1949. Yeah, because I wasn't sure how accurate all of that was with the helicopter thing, and I'm like, did they really not have the helicopters then?
The helicopter thing seems to be true. It seems like civilian helicopters weren't really used until 1946, and then not very often. So that's highly possible, especially out there. I looked that up, actually.
Yeah, I had to look that up. I was curious about that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. She had a line that says, "Since when do you nick things?" When he took the adrenaline from the hospital, which Mike said.
He said I nicked it.
Yeah, I'm sharing what Mike, because I know Mike would want to comment on these things. I just wanted to share some of his stuff. The Area 51 thing, I thought it was going to be more of a direct thing, like they were going to go into Area 51, and then he basically just kind of gave them that idea that this is where you could move your location or your research. So is this another one of those examples where that predestination thing where Ben gave the idea?
Probably.
Is it?
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. We got that a lot in the original show,
Yeah.
where there were those kisses with history, and like Sam did something that like he should know about, but he created that situation. So I don't know how that's supposed to work. Even in the original show, I don't know how that worked. But I guess we could theorize about Hannah, because I don't know. So do you think this? So Brian, do you think this has something to do with the? You said you think it's a butterfly effect. Could this be what Ian was talking about when Ian and Jen were discussing what did you really do?
What did you do? Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't have any foreknowledge of anything else past this episode, so I just think that he caused the butterfly effect right there, and that's how we got the introduction to the character, and we're going to see more as time goes on. Will we see it in the next episode? I don't know, but if she's a series regular, probably we're probably going to see a lot of her, I would imagine, because Janice wasn't a series regular, and now she's gone. So, but I would like to see her back. We got that whole character, and it's Al's daughter, and he has 3 other daughters too, and where are they? So I would like to see a little more of that stuff too. But you only have so many minutes in each episode.
But that's tying back into the old thing. You don't want that.
Oh, somebody cut her mic.
Cut my mic. I see how you are.
Oh no.
Well, see, like Darrell.
Well,
like,
you
what do
can't
think
get
about all
on
that?
me and say you don't want canon. You can't talk about canon, MJ, and then you say something like that, going back to canon.
No, my thing is always the original series changed it every season with some sort of upgrade, and this one's done it too, just 30 years later. So that's my only thing that I disagree with you about. It's always going to change.
Darrell, so do you care
I know it
much?
always changes. It's supposed to change.
Do you care as much about a lot of those details, Darrell? I'm curious.
Which details?
Just like like sticking really closely to the canon of the original, because we're kind of, because this is like it's like comparing Star Trek to The Next Generation. So it's like I'm just curious, coming from somebody who is not as into the details of the original show as us Quantum Leap geeks are. I was just wondering what your opinion was on all of that. Like, if you like the connections, or if you want there to be more than what we've been getting.
I don't really care about those too much. This is, I think one of you mentioned earlier, is this even the same Ziggy? I'm not sure if that was before we hit record or not, to be honest with you, but we had that conversation, and I don't know. I think this is a different quantum accelerator, and I think there are different rules that are going to apply. We've seen a different type of, no wedding room now, right? They're just kind of whatever. That's all different in this version, and I'm okay with that, because I feel like this is just a different version. This is not the version. I mean, literally, this isn't. They didn't reboot the series. This is a continuation of it. This is however many years later it is. I don't know the exact number, but so I'm okay with some things being different because technology is different, and so those things don't bother me too much at all. I think probably I'm curious on what you guys think of this. What I'm bothered by is the no oh boys. I just want an oh boy every once in a while. I think that would be fun. And we haven't gotten one of them. I haven't caught one yet. Of all the things from the old show that bother me the most, that's it. I don't know. So no, they don't.
That was Sam's line. I
know, but
I don't think Ben would say oh boy. I think he would say
terrific is what he said this time, and I was like, I can see him doing that. Just every once in a while, someone else throw out a no boy. I don't know. I just want to see one or hear one.
Yeah. I think it's also just
someone, anyone.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's also just a different format, like the way we got, the original show with the Saga Cell, which we didn't get this week. We just shot right into Zoom, then coming in. But
yeah, no Saga sound. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, but the format of the original show.
They'd done that once before, at least, maybe twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just the way the commercial breaks are now, and it's like there's such a much longer, usually like a longer, I guess you call it the cold open before the credits. So maybe that's why they don't know where to stick that in. I mean, it would be nice to get like a little catchphrase or something, but yeah, they are taking their own direction with things. I did think Ian had some. The lines that I thought were really funny were, I mean, Ian was obviously talking about like, oh yeah,
I know what you're gonna say.
There's stuff going on with. He was like so excited about, oh, we're getting into aliens and all this stuff, and he kept saying, oh, this. I don't remember the details exactly, but when they realized that it was just like kind of like a conspiracy, and Jen is like, sorry, Ian, doesn't look like you'll be meeting E.T. today, and Ian, I hope you can respect my privacy during this time.
At this time.
I cracked up laughing like
that was great.
Like,
yeah.
And then like they're all standing around. You know, the three of you standing here will make the results come faster. Like, really? No.
Really?
Like, get out of my face. I do think Ian always has these great lines. I don't have many more.
Ben had a doozy of a line. Ben did have a doozy of a line to add to Addison. When she's like, Carrie could have lied, and this is how this is.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's
I know.
Like, I'm not saying that I don't hear you. I'm not saying that there's not merit to what you're saying, but you're wrong. And then he just walks out, and she's like,
yeah.
I would think that would be a very nice way of putting someone in their place, which is kind of expected since she left him there.
Are you about to say something, Darrell?
Yeah, I liked it when they're trying to go through the gate. That was my favorite, probably my favorite scene of the whole thing. As far as the Ben Addison thing goes, where Ben basically gets mad and says, nobody made you do that. Nobody made you bury me.
Right.
But you did, and now I have to live with that, whatever that means.
Yeah,
So
I really liked
that
him
scene.
confronting her in that way. I don't know. She was saying something about him making rash decisions that were really out of character for him, and I never felt like that. I mean, maybe I think the biggest argument you could make was him going out there to the ranch at night when they can't really get a good look. But at the same time, I think he could argue back, although he never did. All these happenings are happening at night. Night's the best time to go out there. But whether it was nicking the adrenaline or some of the other decisions he was making, I always felt like he was making the best decisions to move forward, given the really tight time constraint that they had before the judge was going to come into town. And so I don't know. When she was accusing him of being out of character, I never got that vibe from him. If she hadn't said it, I would have been like, I never would have thought it. And even after she did say it, I was like, I don't know that I agree with that. But what were you guys' take?
Yeah,
I think she was. Oh, sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
You go ahead. That's fine.
I thought that she was talking about how he was fighting with those guys, that he would have never fought with them.
True.
3 years ago.
I don't know about that either.
But, all the stuff that, like you said, he was trying to move through the leap and get Carrie taken care of, and all she wanted to do was just hold him back. Brian?
Well, yeah, you're right. He throughout the series so far, he's always kind of challenged what Ziggy said, and Sam did that too in the original series.
Yep.
So I didn't feel like it was totally out of character what he did, but I could see your point too, where he rushed the guys, and he may not have done that. He's not really a tough guy, as we saw in episode 1 of this.
He knows how to box now, so there's that.
Yeah. Definitely agree with both of you.
Yeah, I did notice that he's just or maybe that's what they were trying to go for, is that his frame of mind is now different, and maybe on a subconscious level, Ben is being a little more reckless than he normally would be. And I kind of, I mean, when he was confronting Addison with all of that, and he was like really like kind of wailing into her with all that. I'm like, whoa, this is getting heavy. Like he is hurt. He kind of feels, it sounded like he felt betrayed a little bit, that he moved on, even though it's been 3 years. And,
well, wouldn't you be?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was 100%. Kind of on Ben's side of this,
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You left me here, and for me, it's been 3 days. For you, it might have been 3 years, but, come on.
Yeah.
I'm still the one stuck back here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not crazy about Mike, Brian, sorry, I'm still learning your names. Brian, you mentioned something earlier about maybe they are doing this thing with the relationship because of viewers not liking the leaper having a relationship with, and maybe that's it. I don't know, because I'm not as in tune to what the fandom chatter has been like. I'm just watching it on my couch with my wife, and my chatter is with her, and that's kind of my small little bubble. And so that has not bothered us at all. We've kind of liked that, and he's been getting his memories back, and we kind of liked that dynamic. And so now you've got this ripping of that apart right at the moment where he's getting all of his memories back. We got that confirmed this week, even though I think it was kind of apparent over the last few episodes that he was at that point or close to that point. And it just reminds me of one of those TV tropes like Ross and Rachel from Friends, or Fringe and Olivia when Peter got erased from the timeline in Fringe, if we want to stick with sci-fi stuff. Son and Jen from Lost, although this maybe feels the most like Castaway, the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks and Helen Hunt, but I'm not in for it. I really liked where it was going, and now we've got this Tom third wheel guy that I don't know. I'm okay. I'm giving them some leeway where they're going to go with it, but I don't know. This feels unnecessary to me, and I kind of liked where it was going, so I'm not a fan of where it's gone so far this season.
At first, I was, a little disappointed that there was a romantic relationship with Ben and Addison, because I was used to the dynamic of the old show. But as the season grew, I started to like it, and then this happens, and I'm like, why? So yeah, I it's interesting to see your point, Darrell, of not knowing, about some of that other stuff and just along for the ride. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I said the same thing. I'm like, I'm a little indifferent as to where they're going, because I know they need to shake things up. But didn't we kind of hint about it when we did the premiere? Like, I feel like the storylines that they're doing almost feels like they're doing it a season too early. That's I feel like last season with the Leaper X.
They're rushing. They've been rushing.
Yeah, like this is something you should have done in season 2, and now this seems like something they should have done in season 3. And it's like they're, like you said, MJ, they're rushing to get these stories done, that the stories that they want to tell. That's, I mean, I'm understanding where a lot of fans are coming from now. So,
there's one issue I had with this story. So, this Black Book project, right, is sitting on Russell Hunt's land. Carrie and Melanie have the accident on Russell Hunt's land. They give Russell Hunt's daughter too much stuff of this Gamma Blue 5, whatever it is, and put her in a coma. What dingus, I'll put it that way, said, whoa, maybe we should give her this medication to wake her back up, since that's who we're leasing the land from.
Yeah,
No, but let's just go ahead and let this ruin a young lady's life.
Well, it's just like typical of government cover-ups that the government
doesn't care.
another
Doesn't really
trope.
care.
It does seem like that's just like what happens in these stories. It's just like whatever they have to do to keep it secret. I know. It's a horrible thing. I don't have many
government
more.
is very evil in this series.
Yes, it is.
A lot.
But you can contact the senator like that.
Exactly. One second later, he will call you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys mentioned that. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't have many more notes.
3 seconds, maybe one.
I don't have many more notes for this one. I guess the only thing is I'll bring up, like, I always try to bring up the songs that are featured. These are on your notes, Brian, because I recognize some of it. And what'd you say? It was I Only Have Eyes
In the
for
car.
You. Yeah,
Yeah,
In
that
the
was
car.
great.
Mhm.
Love that one.
It's Been So Long. I'm going by what you said, Brian, because I had to look some of this up. It's Been So Long by Helen Forrest, and How High the Moon by the O'Neill brothers.
Mhm.
Yeah, they always have really good music in this. I think last week we didn't mention it. Last week it was Manic Monday. I heard by the Bangles playing at the and the bank. That was one of them. Yeah, I do like the songs that they're using. That at least that's the one thing that helps make us feel like we're in that time period. Sometimes we don't really feel like we're in that time period. Yeah, I don't have much more to say other than I'm just intrigued about where they're going with Hannah. This is like the one thing of the season. I'm like I'm interested in seeing where this is going. So. I think
that and Magic's phone call at the end were the big cliffhangers or big questions to ask.
Yeah, who did he call?
Yeah.
Who is he calling?
Yeah.
Some people I've heard are thinking it's Beth.
I don't see that though. Why would it be Beth? Why would it be Beth? I don't see that. It just doesn't.
What if they were, together now?
I don't know.
I accidentally got spoiled on this, and so I won't reveal it. But I have screener access to some of the episodes, and I was scrubbing through some of the upcoming episodes because I was trying to see. So my daughter and I were out in Hollywood at Universal Hollywood back in April, and we were doing the tram tour. We've done the tram tour a few times, and you take different routes on the tram tour to kind of depending on where they're filming at in any given location or any given day. And this particular day, they would not let us. Not only would they not let us go take the tram down the road where you get all the neighborhood houses, but they had to kill the intercom, tell all of us to be quiet, and they would tell us, like, when we get to this line, everyone has to be quiet. And they warned us ahead of time. They warned us when we got there. And then they told us when we got through that zone and we could start talking. They turned the microphones back on and stuff. And they said they're filming Quantum Leap up there on Colonial Street today, so we can't. And so I was scrubbing through episodes to figure out, was what we saw here in this episode what they were filming when I was there that day, or was it one of the future episodes? And in doing that, I accidentally spoiled myself on the phone call, so I won't say anything more about that. But I am like 90% sure they were filming those exterior house shots that we got in this episode of the sheriff's neighborhood and stuff. I'm thinking that's what they were filming because we haven't seen anything like that so far this season. And I won't reveal how many episodes I have access to, but it's a few. It's not deep into the season, so it could still be something else. But this was like April 11th when we were there, so they couldn't have been too deep into the season filming either. So I think we were there when they were filming this particular episode, which is kind of interesting that I'm here with you guys. But yeah, I spoiled myself on that one. So I was kind of bummed.
Yeah. Well, they didn't take a break from season 1 to season. They've just been going nonstop.
I was shocked when they said they're filming Quantum Leap up there in April, knowing that the season had already wrapped. I was like, that's unusual. They're not usually, for a show that's wrapped, they're not usually filming yet. But I'm guessing they were smart in doing knowing the writer's strike was probably
they were trying to get ahead.
They were trying to get some episodes done.
Yeah. Hopefully, well, we said it. Hopefully now, if the actors' strike ends soon, they can film at least 5, the remaining 5. We're hoping. Hopefully 10, because that would be a full season. I guess we'll just end off with that we actually do get a leap out again, finally. I feel like it's been too long since we actually see the leap into the next episode. And you know what? I was looking at that, and I suddenly realized that was Tim Matheson he was talking to. Like, he looks so familiar. That actor looks so familiar. I've seen him in things. Who is he? And then I realized who it was. Like, oh, and I don't know if is it supposed to be. I've heard that it's like Ben is like a Hollywood starlet or something. So are they filming a movie, and it's actually Tim Matheson, like pretending? Is it one of those situations where it's going to be like he's talking to the actor, who's, I don't know. But it looks
I don't
cool.
know either.
Yeah, it's called the Lonely Hearts Club, and the next one, and there will be a missed opportunity if they do not play "Owner of a Lonely Heart" by Yes. I'm gonna throw that one out there. I don't know what the time frame is, but that'll be a missed opportunity. Anything else anybody wants to say before we wrap up, or?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
There were
I know,
some
you
good
always like-
one-liners in there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Darrell, for joining us. I was looking forward to this. I was a little nervous. You're like this professional podcaster, and I'm like, I need to step up my game a little bit. So I appreciate this. I've been enjoying your podcast. Oh, that's what I forgot. Stranger Things reference. Did you find one?
Oh, in this set?
Yeah. It's a little private joke.
He's gonna spring that on me.
Yeah.
It is an inside joke. Let's see. Wow, you're just gonna spring that on me like that. They're partnering with a sheriff, the local sheriff. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So Quantum Leap did it before Stranger Things did
Government
it. Yeah.
cover up. I mean, I guess we could go there as well. Yeah.
So
Secret bases, maybe there. I don't know. Drugging kids, maybe we could go there. I don't know.
Yeah. So on the Fringe podcast, they talk about the Stranger Things reference and how Fringe copied off of Stranger Things, even though Fringe came out way before Stranger Things. So it's just.
Yeah, it's just backwards joke. We don't even know how we started it. We reached a point where I just have to keep this going.
Yeah.
So it's now an official segment of the podcast. It's
Right.
The most nonsensical segment of all time.
I had to throw that in there, do a little crossover. Anyway, thank you, Darrell, for joining us. Where can everybody find you on social media and stuff?
GoldenSpiralMedia.com is the podcast network of all the sci-fi stuff. GSM Podcasts is our Twitter, or X if you prefer. I don't. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
Mm-hmm. I'm not calling it X. Not.
I know it's so because you have to
No.
then
Never will I
go and
call
say
that.
Twitter.
It's
Why?
Twitter. Get it right. It's not X.
Right. Yeah.
And Brian, of course, the Quantum Leap -AlsPlace.com. MJ, you're on Quantum Leap AlsPlace.com/virtual seasons. When are the new episodes again? November 18th. The new stories.
The new stories will begin November 16th, and
November
then we'll
16th.
move to Friday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to have to try to dig out my story and try to get something for you, because we've all been.
I will not
Writers,
accept
yeah.
stories until they are finished.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'll have to work on it
Oh,
when I have time,
There it
if
is.
I have time. And also
Sorry.
Darker Projects. Yeah, and also darkerprojects.com. You can check her out there. And hopefully Mike will be feeling more up to it. Will join us next week for the Lonely Hearts Club. So until next time, this is Damon, Brian, MJ, and Darrell. Thank you so much again, Darrell. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. And
good talking with you.
yep, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.